James Lutton for Slough Box. Delighted to be joined with Christy Martin. Christy, how are you?
I'm well. You know, happy to be up here and with you this morning.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining me once again. A few times I spoke now. I just want to reflect on the previous fight this weekend. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, unbelievable fight. Just tell me first of all what you thought of the fight.
Well, it was a thunderous. You know, it was great. The atmosphere in the arena was great. The fight itself superseded any expectations that anyone could have had going into the fight. And you know, when that final bam, 10 seconds, you know, beat on the canvas, and they just continued to go to war. And that's, you can't ask for anything better. They closed the show. Both of them showed so much heart and so much courage and like real champion material.
You've been involved in a few good fights yourself, but was this the greatest female fight you've seen?
For sure. I mean, on Sunday, I text my friend Deirdre Gogarty and told her that we had been overtaken, because up until Saturday night, I still believe that my fight with Deirdre Gogarty really was the best fight. It was a great fight, but it was the most meaningful fight for women's boxing. I think that the fight Saturday night with Taylor Serrano took it to the next level.
Why do you feel it meant more, this fight?
It maybe didn't mean more. It has a different meaning, because in the 90s, I think what we did, it brought the interest to women's boxing. The interest had really started to wane, and there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about women's boxing. There was so much hype and so much interest going into this fight. And these two ladies lived up to all of the expectations. It was a great fight. They both handled themselves during the fight and after the fight as champions. I just feel like this fight will be talked about from now on in boxing, and it really will give more female fighters an opportunity. So just like we did in the 90s, but this is taking it to a different level, because boxing as a whole, the world is at a different level. We have all the social media, all the different avenues of promotion now that we didn't really have back then in the 90s. So I just think it takes it to the next level.
How much for this fight did it mean, the fact it was the first female fight to headline Madison Square Gardens?
Oh, the Garden's the Mecca. I mean, it doesn't matter how, you know, where you fight on the card. To fight in the Garden is like, oh my goodness, you know, I get a fight in Madison Square Garden. But to headline the show there, that has to be a totally another feeling. And the pressure, you know, these two ladies, they performed under great pressure, because not only did they have the pressure of fighting each other, but they had the pressure of, they had to know that the whole world was watching them. They were watching some in a positive way, and probably, I would say, most in a negative way, waiting for them to make a mistake, waiting for them not to put on the show that they put on, so that people could say, we told you women's boxing isn't the real deal. But they showed it is the real deal.
Absolutely.
At least those two women are the real deal.
Definitely. There's always been the talk of it being 2-minute rounds. It should be 3-minute rounds. What is your stance on this? Do you feel it would be better for women's boxing to have 3-minute rounds, or would you prefer to see 12 2-minute rounds rather than 10 rounds?
I like what you just said. And I had a conversation with someone yesterday about the number of rounds, the minutes. And my take on it is this: let's go to 12 rounds for a championship fight, but stay at the 2-minute mark. And it's a simple reason. Look how exciting and how much action happened in those 2 minutes. I just think that the 2-minute rounds it gives you the opportunity for so much action, so much bell to bell punching. I think it's a positive for women's boxing. We had other female fights that I'm not sure could go the 3 minutes. I just feel like that. Let's go 12 twos. I think that's a positive right there.
I mean, look back to round 5. If there was an extra minute in that round, it may have been stopped. We would have been robbed of the fight we saw that unfolded for the last 5 rounds.
You're right. But also we could say, would Amanda Serrano still been strong in round number 5 to land that punch if she had gone 3-minute rounds on the others? Would they have been able to have the pace that they had for 3 minutes? Probably not. I believe 2 minutes is what it is. And yeah, I like it. I think it brings a lot of excitement. The crowd wants to be entertained. Yes, the rounds for that particular fight at 2-minute rounds seemed to go by quickly, but there are other women fights I've been at that are 2-minute rounds, and it seems like, oh my God, 2 minutes is 10 minutes. So it's all about the pace. I mean, I've been at men's fights for 3-minute rounds that have that kind of pace, and you're like, oh shit, the round's over already. So it's all about the pace. It's about the action, and they had so much action going on. You just didn't want any round to end. You didn't want the fight to end.
Do you feel that Saturday night would have been possible without the likes of yourself on televised shows, Mike Tyson undercards, without the likes of Jane Couch over here in Britain, you guys who brought women's boxing to the forefront back in the 90s? Do you feel it could have been done without you guys?
I'm not sure. I look back and I try to see who could have changed it had we not done what we did in the 90s. And I think the person that gets lost in this, especially over here on our side, is Don King, because Don King gave me that wonderful opportunity and put me out there in front of the masses. So at that point, women's boxing kind of caught fire. Without that opportunity, I mean, who was going to do it? I don't know. I don't know that women's boxing would be where it is today without what we did in the 90s. But we wouldn't have been able to do what we did in the 90s without the women that had tried to do it in the 70s. So, it's all about everybody. Everybody makes a little step, and we have our rung on the ladder, and Taylor Serrano definitely right now are sitting at the top of that ladder.
You make a very good point there about Don King. I mean, especially over here, the perception of Don King is, a lot of it is negative. A lot of it is, oh, he's still in the game. Why is he still here? Now, I know you have a very good relationship with Don. And as you mentioned there, he, by the sounds of it, was very pivotal in bringing women's boxing to the house home, to the televised boxing watchers. Just talk to me a little bit about how pivotal Don King was.
Well, without Don King, you can say, did what the fight that I had with Gogarty, that changed women's boxing. But without Don King and Mike Tyson, Showtime, also would that opportunity wouldn't have happened. Don King gave me a great opportunity, and with that opportunity, I feel like we kind of stoked the fire for women's boxing. He does get way more negative than he gets positive, but Don King had put on some great fights, both for the, definitely on the men's side, and then gave me a great opportunity. Sometimes we forget that, but we should remember it when we watch fights, and we watch through a whole boring undercard that we don't know anybody. Used to, when King did a show, every fight was a title fight. You knew everybody on the undercard. You knew everybody. Of course, you knew the main event. The shows just aren't like they used to be.
Absolutely. And just finally, back onto Taylor Serrano. What next? Would you like to see a rematch? Is Katie Taylor best off now hanging her gloves up at the top? What would you like to see next?
It's a hard one. Katie Taylor could easily retire right now and definitely go out on top of the world. I mean, she's a gold medalist, a multi-time world champion. She could just walk away. I think that probably she would want to come home and do the rematch and sell out a huge stadium in Ireland. And how that would be a great time to walk away with a win at home and in front of so many fans. She had so many fans in the Garden Saturday night. It was unbelievable. And then I'm going to tell you a quick story. We were leaving the airport from New York, of course, Sunday morning, and we could hear some people talking beside of us, of course, with the accent. And we asked them, "Did you go to the fight?" last night. They said no, but you know, they knew all about it. They had checked the news the next morning, and they told me all about Katie Taylor. This was an older gentleman that was probably, you know, in his late 60s. And it was awesome to have that conversation with him, because here's a man talking to me about a female boxer, just like it was just a boxer to him. It was just a fighter. It wasn't, oh yeah, she's pretty good for a woman, or it was awesome. It was just like she's just an athlete. And that's what it just shows where women's boxing has grown to.
Absolutely. You mentioned you'd like to see the rematch over in Ireland. Let's say that they have the rematch. Let's say Katie Taylor loses the rematch. You know how hard it is to go out on a loss. Would she then continue furthermore to try and finish on a win?
I think if Amanda Serrano comes to her country and would get the win, they have to do the third fight. Where it would happen, I don't know. But yes, you're absolutely right. If she would lose, it would be hard to walk away on a loss.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic. Christy, thank you very much for your time. As always, pleasure to speak to you. And I'm sure we'll catch up again very soon.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
And to you. Thank you.